Well, thank you. I'm a preacher, so we may be here for 3 or 4 hours tonight. Hey, and but I only have 1 page of notes, okay? Hey, that never happens on Sunday morning, by the way. But Brother Gregg asked me to introduce him tonight. And I want to begin by saying that my wife and I came to Rio Rancho 30 years ago. And at that time, there were 15,000 people in the city and 1 stoplight. Imagine that. And Golf Course Road was known as 30th Street, and it was a really bad, bumpy road. And there was 1 grocery store in town, Smith's. If you wanted to eat in Rio Rancho, you went to Godfather's Pizza or Sephorino's. Some of you remember that. Intel began to grow, and they began to build 1,000 homes a month here in Rio Rancho. At one time, we were the fastest growing small city in America. And families began to move in, and the city began to boom. Businesses came in, churches came in, and the city was booming. Tonight, 30 years later, things have changed in our city, and in my opinion, not for the better. I think in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen some things going on in our city that are really detrimental to the growth of our city. The infrastructure in our city is decaying and falling apart. Major problems with the water system. You've probably seen that on the news. Our police and firefighters, I'm a police chaplain, have been for 16 years here, and they're undermanned, understaffed, underpaid. It puts their lives in jeopardy. And what we saw happen Saturday in Albuquerque could very well have happened here. We're probably going to see our insurance rates go up because we don't have adequate fire protection in our city. Those are things that are going to affect us. Business growth has slowed to a trickle in our town. And I believe that's thanks to some very burdensome regulations that the leaders have put in place. She came into our building tonight. We just finished this covered porch out here a year ago. It took us 7 months to get a building permit to build a covered porch. Pastor Linentine just built a beautiful building, had similar experience. And it's not just churches, it's any business trying to start in our town. And thanks to a new city council, we're seeing some of that begin to change. But to show you, or to give you an idea of how far behind this city is, think about it, we're a city of 90,000 people. 90,000 people. And if you want to buy a computer in Rio Rancho, you go to Walmart. There's not a computer store in town. If you want to buy kitchen appliances, you go to Lowe's or Home Depot. There's not an appliance store here in this town. If you want to buy furniture, there's no furniture store in this town. If you want office supplies, there's not an office supply store in a city of 90,000. Fine dining, with due respect to hot tamales, my favorite. There's not really a great restaurant in this town, just American, no steak, seafood, whatever. If a fellow wants to buy a suit or a nice pair of shoes, you can't do that in Rio Rancho. There's not a men's clothing store in a city of 90,000. There's no children's clothing store in this town. And I was talking to Carrie Hall before the meeting tonight. I said, Miss Carrie, there's a good reason why Greg needs to be elected. There is not a ladies' shoe store in this town.
Lord have mercy.
Now, ladies out, I'll fire you up.
Yeah. That's right.
And seriously, there's not a shoe store in the city of Rio Rancho, 90,000 people. We have heard and seen the signs, buy in Rio Rancho. I'm all for that. I try to do that. But there are a lot of things you just can't buy here. And it's not because there's not customers here, there are. If you go to the city limits, on the other side of the city limits, there are businesses being built on the south side of Rio Rancho and the north side. And the reason why is because it's so difficult to build here in this city. That needs to change. That needs to change. And what this city needs is someone who has been a successful businessman.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
And Greg and Carrie Hall came to our church 16 years ago. I won't tell the story, but I'll never forget the day they walked into our auditorium. And I'll just say this, they've allowed the Lord to really work in their hearts and lives. And I'm old enough to be his father, and I'm very proud of him and his wife and how I've watched them grow over the years. But I remember when Greg got involved in a packing and shipping business with another man in our church. And it was a two-man operation. They worked out of one half of a two-car garage, and the business failed, and the other partner said, I'm leaving town, you can have it. So here Greg had this failed packing and shipping business. And Greg has strong convictions about the use of money. He's a true financial conservative. Some men talk it, but Greg walks it. And he began to apply sound biblical financial principles to his business. And he took that little failed packing and shipping business, and when he was finished, he had grown into a business that was grossing $1 million in sales each year. And he did it without borrowing a dime. Never borrowed a dime. That's unheard of today. He's a true fiscal conservative. And so he knows the value of hard work, and he knows the value of a dollar. And he himself has faced the obstacles that small business men face when they're trying to build a new business and putting their own capital at risk to do it. And Greg's not only a true fiscal conservative, but he's a man of faith and principle. And I've watched him, and we've talked about his campaign and the importance of staying true to his principles and convictions. I've warned him against becoming just another politician. We've had too much of that. We need a common man to serve the people.
Yes.
And Greg is a man who has a genuine love for people. And not for what he can get from them, but because of who they are. And I can tell you as his pastor, Greg is a giver and not a taker. And I've seen him give of his monetary means. I've seen him give of his time and talent as a Sunday school teacher. And he's been doing that faithfully for many years. No acclaim, no applause, just doing it because he loves people. So he's a giver and not a taker. And it's my privilege tonight to introduce to you the next mayor of Rio Rancho, Mr. Gregg. Would you please come?
Thank you.